What's up, people? Welcome to Clerks 2. I just went right for it.
You launched on it.
No, I ain't fucking around, man.
Fucking awesome.
I'm happy. I like this movie quite a bit, so I was able to jump right the fuck. You feel that? It's kind of. If I put that much energy into my sex life, I might have more than one kid. As it stands, I'm always just like, you do it. Fuck me, because I'm lazy. I can't be bothered doing the fucking. Once or twice I asked buddies of mine, because every once in a while my old lady's like, get on top, because I'm a bottom, right? And she's like, get on top. I said, I can't, man. It's fucking too much work. So I've called friends. I said, come over and lift my ass up and down. Do the pumping motion for me and whatnot. Now I say no.
I never got that call.
Yeah, well, I tried it a few times, and people aren't down with it. It's like, whatever. They're so prude. Clerks 2, man. What a great time we had making it. What a great time we had putting the DVD together. What a great time we're going to have spending the money that you spent on the DVD that we'll see a little fucking scratch for. What are you going to do with your share of the money?
What am I going to do with all that money? Right now? First, I lay it out on a bed.
Yeah.
Do like a Demi Moore.
Ooh, that's hot.
You know? And then that's as far as I usually get.
And then you just put it in the bank.
Burn it indiscriminately.
Yeah. Me, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might just... I might invest.
Invest it?
Yeah. Something. Wisely. Maybe real estate's good.
Real estate's good.
Fast food. Now that we've went through the process of making a movie set in a fast food joint and how fucking difficult it was to find a closed down fast food joint, because in this country...
People love fast food.
Yeah, fast food never goes out of business. People fucking like to eat, because most of them look like me and shit. You're in the minority. I read something on the internet that said obese people make up a greater population in the United States. We're taking over.
We're taking over.
Yeah, look out, Skinny. Here we come.
Right on.
Give us your pizza. So check out all the stuff we got in store for you on this DVD. Like every DVD the View Askew people, us, put together, it's packed with goodness. Lots of stuff in it. We don't skimp out, you know. We always try to throw a little extra in there and whatnot. So if you're going to spend a few bucks, kind of give you something for your few bucks. So you got the movie, naturally.
Got the movie.
You got some commentary tracks.
3 commentary tracks.
Is there going to be 3?
Yep.
Right on. 3 commentary tracks. You got deleted scenes, which about half hour, 40 minutes. I can't remember what
37 it is. Minutes.
37?
37.
Remember? Old school. Can't get away from it. Then we've got a section, some people call it outtakes. I didn't want to call it anything. You'll hear about that later. But that's like 27 minutes worth of that. There's a full-blown 90-minute documentary on the entire life of Clerks 2, from conception to theatrical shooting of the wad. And a fun assortment of other little things that you'll be able to catch right here on the Clerks 2 DVD. We thank you so much for buying it, because our DVD is what pretty much fuels our film career, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Our DVD is pretty strong, so basically, thanks to you guys, we still work in film. So if you're watching this and you're like, I hate these guys' movies, quit buying the DVD. And don't say, well, I'll just rent it on Netflix, because they bought it, so we're still seeing some of that lolly. So thank you guys for picking this up, and gals, although I don't think we have many female fans.
But for the few that are out there.
Yeah, for the 3 chicks that bought this, hey, thanks. But check all this out. Clerks 2 goodness. It is my favorite movie of ours that we've ever made to date. And I could say that, and people believe me honestly now, because I'm no longer promoting the movie. Once you bought the DVD, I don't have to promote it anymore. So take it for what it is. It's truth. My favorite movie of the bunch. What is yours?
This one has really gotten up. This one ranks pretty high up there right now.
If it ranks high, what else is up there?
The original.
Really? Still?
There's some in it, but the making of that still keeps it up there. Well, I'm not separating like personal experience from the actual movie. From the actual movie,
and the actual movie.
The actual movie, I would probably say then I would go for this one.
For this one?
Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. Wow, who knew? I learned shit. You must be learning shit. I just learned shit, and I know the dude. All right, so here is the Askew Universe Bible. It's not really the Askew Universe Bible. It's a prop, which we created for Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back. But it was the book that Alanis and her God character closed after the end credits of Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back. And as you can see, the red bookmarker was here in a page that said the end. But there were all these pages left to go. So I'm telling you right now, it's done. So I'm gonna pull the bookmarker out, and I'm gonna put it where it belongs, at the end of the book. Just, but you know what? I'm just gonna leave me a few pages just in case, because you never know. But ostensibly it's done.
Visita mi canal.
Done. Unless at age 40 I have something to say with Dante and Randall. But other than that, shit's finished. I'm a grown up? I don't know. I think some people expect that because I said, oh, this is the last movie with these characters, that we're now not going to do comedies. We'll still probably do comedies, but they just won't feature the same characters. It won't be set in the same universe. It won't be a Jay and Bob appearance anywhere. I think I'll probably wind up doing stuff like Chasing Amy, which is a mixture of comedic and the serious or the dramatic. Because that's the kind of stuff I'm really interested in. That's the kind of stuff I really dug. In post on Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is where we're kind of done with the Jersey movies, kind of came to the fore. Because it was getting harder and harder to clean Jason Mewes up in advance of every film.
Kevin was gonna put the kibosh on the characters because of my drug use and how hard it was to, get me sober and all that stuff, the whole process of it.
And we had fights, and it was just heartbreaking. Like, the dude was just too dialed in to heroin. At that point, I started talking very openly about this is it. This is the last View Askew Universe movie. We're shutting it down. It seems like a great idea to go out on a Jay and Silent Bob movie. The guys who'd always been in the background of every movie suddenly had their own feature. And so we're done after this.
I guess I agreed with him. Definitely, I understood why he was saying that and why he'd want to do that, because it was a pain. And
at the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, we went so far as to have, after the end credits, God standing there, comes out to like this big View Askew Universe Bible, and then she closes it and, dances off. However, even when we were shooting that, I always kind of left in the back of my mind like I might want to revisit this territory because I love those characters that populate the View Askew universe. They're my characters, of course I love them. And I always wanted to leave a back door. So if you look at the book, there's a bookmark in it. And the page that it was open to that she closes is right in the middle of the book. So yes, she closed the book, but there's, this much more to go.
It's funny because you take that one moment, you take Jersey Girl and try to pick apart why it led into Clerks 2, and I think there's a lot of reasons. It was the first movie that we sort of made outside of our way of doing things. Like, there's a lot of things that we didn't do our way. We had an Academy Award-winning director of photography. We had big-time celebrities.
The equal part of the equation of making the movie, aside from telling a great story or something that's real close and personal to your heart, is the experience of making it with all these people and getting along and like chumming it up and having a great time. And Jersey Girl wasn't that. There were so many issues dealing with that movie, and you were dealing with egos too, and it was just like...
On that movie, we kind of not only were making something that was trying to be a little bit more commercial, but we also made it under the circumstances of how people do that. We sort of sit out on the fringe a little bit. I don't think we sort of are nestled comfortably into the Hollywood sort of movie-making scene. We do things a little bit differently. We make movies that don't appeal to everyone in the world.
So we wind up making Jersey Girl for $35 million. It only grosses $25 million, which is disappointing. It's not a flop, but it's disappointing. But we followed the $6 million grossing Gigli, which was a tough uphill battle, because that movie was so roundly hated and despised and mocked and shit like that. It was like the new Ishtar.
I think it got away from us, you know? And I think that's the worst feeling that came out of it.
And, you know, I don't bear any malice or ill will toward Ben and Jen. It wasn't their fault. They didn't want to fucking torpedo the flick. They wanted to see it do well. We all loved the movie. But at that point, I was just like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to make a movie where the tabloids are seizing upon the backstory of who fucked who on the movie and not talking about the movie itself. Like, the movie was almost an afterthought.
You know, we had a hard time defending our position because there was so much money out there, and we just got squashed and just kicked around and beat up.
Like I said, some people could bag on the flick, but like, spent 2 years of my life making that flick, and it really meant something to me.
If you look at Jersey Girl, it's like a bunch of things happening at once. One, we're making a movie under circumstances we don't normally make movies, and I don't think that was a good thing. I want to quit because I'm exhausted. Kevin's closed the door on the View Askew-universe, and all the shit that happened just sort of brought everything to a screeching halt, where you stop and you go, all right, well, what the fuck am I gonna do?
While we were in post on Jersey Girl, Harvey Weinstein came and watched the movie and loved it, and he said to me, like, we have this Green Hornet movie, and I know you like comics. Do you want to direct it? And I was like, whoa, nobody had ever offered me something, you know, like that before. It was pretty huge, a comic book movie.
I felt like Kevin wanted to do it for all the right reasons, because he was a fan of the character, because he had a great take on the material. He kept it really fun, but also, you know, wrote really smart characters. And
the license was coming up, so they needed to get a movie started.
And I was excited, and they were excited, and everyone was excited.
Kevin sort of started focusing on Green Hornet.
And then when the dust settled, I was sitting there going, I don't want to make this movie.
I think at the time he was concerned that it was just going to be too big, and also coming off of Jersey Girl, he was pretty specific about wanting to do something small next.
There were discussions about just like, you know, doing a movie of that size and sort of jumping into that sort of arena.
The scare that he put into me, and it was a true scare, was just like, this ain't our movie, dude. Like, at the end of the day, it's a movie by committee. And like, no matter what you do, like, you're gonna have to answer to fucking people over you, because the budget is 50 to 70 million bucks. You know, any personal flourish you want to put in there, if they feel like it's going to fuck with the marketability of the movie or fuck with an audience's ability to appreciate it, is going to go away. And I don't know if I could tell a story like that, at least a story that I would like to tell and have it still be mine, maintain a sense of authorship. I said yes because it was flattering, but like, in retrospect, I have no interest in making this. That was also bolstered by the fact that Mosier had no interest in producing it.
This is going to be about us listening to a bunch of people as opposed to the opposite, which is a bunch of people listening to what we want to do.
And without Mosier on board, it made it even less appetizing to me.
After this much time together, I think it would be pretty hard for Kevin to jump onto a movie with a completely brand new producer.
And so I called up Harvey and I was like, you know what, dude, I'm just gonna write Green Hornet, I don't want to direct it.
Sam Raimi or Chris Nolan coming on to do Spider-Man or Batman were guys who really knew how to embrace the genre for what it was, and I thought Kevin would also, and I think that the size of it scared him.
Still, at the end of it, I had no interest in directing it. But what I really wanted to write was Clerks 2. Like, I had it in my head. So post Jersey Girl, I knew I wanted to do Clerks 2. And I was thinking about making, you know, like a $500,000 version of it. You know, real cheap, guerrilla style, kind of like the first one. And I think the first person I told about it was Mosier. And I told him about it the day we went to church prior to the theatrical opening of Jersey Girl. This is the parking lot where it all happened. This church parking lot is kind of historic because we went to, last time we went to church together, it was right before Jersey Girl came out.
Yeah.
We do it once before we start shooting, we do it once after we're done, before the flick comes out.
Yeah.
So me and Mo go to Mass one day before Jersey Girl hits theaters, which, I'll tell you something, it didn't help, Lord. So anyway, when we're coming out is when I believe that I first mentioned, hey man, would you want to do a sequel to Clerks? Mosier kind of sparked to it a little bit.
It was a total reaction. You know, what we were talking about was doing something that was a complete, 180 from what we'd done before.
Like the idea of making something small, where he wasn't going to be dealing with studio politics.
I was kind of looking to do something different. Like I would rather do so, and it kind of sounded like fun.
This conversation's important because at this point Mosier was kind of like done. Jersey Girl was a swan song, and Mosier was like, I just don't want to make movies anymore. I want to go out and walk the earth, and I want to travel and shit like that. You know, he just kind of burned out.
So I left when Jersey Girl was wrapping out. I went to Prague to meet my girlfriend, and then I went to Lisbon, Portugal, and I went down to the beach in Portugal. I went to Barcelona. That was like 3.5 weeks. And I went to Australia for 2 weeks, and I went to New Zealand for 4, and then I went to Fiji for a week, which was nice.
Nobody goes to film school going, I want to be a producer. Like, we both went to film school wanting to make movies, right, and direct movies, or at least direct movies. And by the way things fell out, like I wrote Clerks first, we made Clerks, and suddenly we were off and running. And it never gave Moj the opportunity to kind of kick back and do what he went to film school to set out to do. Instead, he was thrust into the role of producer.
I just got so worn down. Like, it was me not sort of empowering myself to make that balance. And it was like every time things would, if you really look back, like every time things would get super out of balance, I just wanted to go.
So for years I was trying to like fucking hold on to a big bad way. And so it was like we'd get into these periods, and they were heartbreaking periods for me. Now of course with hindsight it's very clear to see, but at the time I just felt like, don't fucking leave. Like if you told me you were gonna leave, I wouldn't have fucking started making movies with you in the first place. Like to me, in order to make a movie, certain key ingredients have to be there. I gotta write it, and Moj has to be there. And then that's pretty much the 2 ingredients. But the main 2, as you'll see from flick to flick, the things that have never changed is I write them, and Moj is always there as the producer. The idea of making Clerks 2, where he's like, well, I know Brian and Jeff, those dudes aren't difficult, and you and Muse aren't difficult, like that's appealing to me. So we started talking about doing that.
The relationship with Kevin and Jeff and all that stuff wasn't so simple as to just assume that it would all come together. And not to say that Brian would do anything, but everyone kind of knew that Brian O'Halloran would be ready to do it, and he'd probably be into it.
It was when we were working on the Clerks X DVD, the Clerks 10 DVD. It was during that he told me that he was thinking about doing it, and what I thought about that.
But Jeff was the one that, we'd had strained relationships in the past. When the first one had come out, there was a couple of issues here and there.
So one day I went to see him, and I said, hear me out on this, because I know your first reaction is going to be negative, but what I'm thinking about doing...
I think my head started doing this before he even finished the sentence.
...is a Clerks sequel.
Don't do it, don't do it. And he was kind of surprised. He's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, don't do it.
Because Jeff had a difficult time, I think, with being Randall post-Clerks and whatnot, because he's very recognizable, his voice is very recognizable and whatnot. And, I think there was a period he went through where, he hated the fact that he played Randall, with everyone being like, you were in that movie and shit like that.
I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to be down at the store again, and I just think it's going to rub people the wrong way that, we're older now. I've got a belly. I don't want to do it. People are going to hate it, and they're going to riot, and all my nice letters are going to dry up, and I'm going to get, hey, asshole, stop trying to do the same thing. Your funny little walk don't fly.
He had that look on his face of like, oh man, can't you get away from these fucking Clerks, dude?
And when he was asking me about Clerks 2, he was like, well, the reason I want to do it is I really have something to say. And I really feel like I have a story to tell with this movie. I think the last time I heard him saying that was Jersey Girl.
For me, this movie wasn't about money. It was about telling the story. It was about making this film. It was about going back to a certain place in my life and kind of taking another look, at something, at the person I was then, the person I am now, via these characters.
And it's about being 30 and still not finding your way. A subject I could relate to. A little.
And I said, well, you know what, let me just write the script and then we'll discuss it then. But I just need to, before I start writing, there's no point in me starting to write, I said.
Visita mi canal.
If you aren't interested at all.
I said, I'm not absolutely opposed to it, but I'm at about an 80-20. And the 20 is saying yes and the 80 is saying no. You know, I was driving home from that lunch and I was like, Jesus, he seemed pretty hyped about doing Clerks 2, and I hope I didn't totally deflate him because I'm interested in reading it just as a fan. I want to know what these clowns are up to, you know, 10 years later.
He had to write the script at that point.
And there were certain things I knew were going to happen in the movie. It was going to open with the store being on fire. And it was going to be a catalyst for the story. Like the thing that kind of made them face the future was watching their past kind of burn. I wanted the Talking Heads song, Nothing But Flowers, to open the movie. I knew there was going to be a big dance sequence, and I knew the last shot would pull back from them and go from color to black and white. And I knew at the end of the movie, they would own the quick stop. Like they would be back in the store. The journey would take them from the store to the store. I basically knew the beginning and the end. I just needed to fill in everything in between.
And originally it was going to be a movie at the Boardwalk in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, which is like like carnivals.
Mosier and I talked about it. He's like, look, Seaside Heights, a very big place, sprawling place. Getting everyone on board because each booth is independently operated is going to have to be difficult. Maybe you should shrink it down. I said a side kind of thing I had on the movie, a side location, like a backup, would be the dudes working at a Movies. And he was just like, what, the fast food joint? I said, yeah. And he's going, that's kind of interesting. Then at one point, I took off to Vegas, and I would write all day, and then play blackjack with Brian at night. And Jen comes out, at a certain point, middle of the week, so I was there for like 7 days. And then I distinctly remember writing the rest of Clerks 2, laying on the bed, on my stomach, on my laptop, while Jen was out in the living room.
He would lay on the bed and write for hours, and he would throw things out to me, and I wouldn't laugh. When he throws like Donkey Show out, I'm like, really? Like, really? Are we doing that now? All right.
And so I stayed like another 2 days to finish the script and came out and was like, I'm done, let's go. And so we went back home and whatnot, printed it out, gave it to Mosier.
When I finally read the script, I called him up and I said, look, you can't do this for a couple $100,000.
So Mosier was like, look, I'm in for it, but I don't want to do it for no $500,000. We can just find a budget that's sensible, something like $5 million or something like that.
Well, let's spend an amount of money that's as cheap as possible, but at the same time, like, gives us the opportunity to do some stuff. Well, not necessarily a crane every day and all the rest of it, but like have more stuff than we did on the first one, and equip ourselves in a way where we could try to go out and be like, look, we're obviously not the same guys who made the first one. I mean, we are, but we're not. We're those guys 12 years later, 10 years later, who've been doing it for a while, and we can't make the same movie again. It's just impossible. I mean, we would have had to make an effort to do that, to try to redo that.
So it put us in this comfy position of being able to do the movie exactly the way we wanted, with exactly the people that we wanted to use, i.e. Dave, i.e. Brian and Jeff, stuff like that. Whereas never would have had that same experience on Green Hornet. And you don't get that same experience on movies. The more the budget goes up, the more control you give up. John Gordon was our production exec, and Harvey and Bob were still in charge at Miramax at this point. John Gordon fucking loved the script. He got it right away.
It was great. It was so funny. It was Kevin, going back to what he started doing, and it really felt like it was evolved, and you could feel that he really had his heart in it from what you read on the page.
Ironically, as much as John Gordon loved the script, I was like, what do you think Harvey's going to say? He's like, Harvey's going to dig it. Harvey read the first draft of the script, and he said, he told John, he's like, I think you're fucking crazy. He's like, I don't think it's very good.
I had read it, and I had called him and told him how funny it was, and so I guess like a day went by, and he called me and said, I think Harvey said, I don't think you and I have the same taste anymore. I was crushed.
He's going, it takes about 50 pages to get going. And it's, I don't know, it's just two dudes sitting around talking.
That's not what he expected from the sequel. And Kevin said, well, I think that's what everybody's going to expect from the sequel, since that's what the first movie was.
So Harvey wasn't on board, and Harvey was like, you know, this script needs a lot of work, and he was making suggestions where he was like, you know, you need to show these dudes in high school, do like a flashback sequence. And I'm like, this movie is so not that fucking movie. Like, flashback sequence is something you get away with on Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
There was a disconnect. I don't know what it was, which actually really didn't seem to bother Kevin that much.
The Miramax Weinstein Company, at that point, as they were almost both, was basically like, he's got to finish this draft before we start financing you.
I did another pass on the script where I wrote nothing new. All I did was take out about 15, 20 pages or something like that.
It did keep the momentum of the story going, but you know, I think that stuff would have ultimately come out. If it didn't come out in the script, it would have come out in the cutting room.
We got the message back from Harvey calling himself this time, going like, this is amazing. You know, you did the work and it really shows. This film kicks ass. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, dude, it's just 20 pages shorter than the thing you fucking read, you know? But sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes, you know, by compacting things or kind of keeping the good parts closer to one another, it reads completely differently to some people. To me, it just felt like the same movie, only shorter. But whatever, they were on board at that point. I got it to Jeff, and I said, let me know what you think. And so I'm waiting on pins and needles to hear what he thinks about the script.
I did like the script, and when I read it the first time, I was like, all right, you know what? Kevin kept telling me, trust me. I know what I'm doing here. It's going to be good.
And he finally called me back, and he was just like, I got to tell you, dude, this is pretty fucking funny. And he was going through the stuff that made him laugh, and he's going, but more than that, he's going, it's pretty good.
My reservations were alleviated, and I was like, yeah. He did a good job with it. It went a lot better than I thought it was going to go, but I still wasn't sure if I wanted to do it.
Hollywood or movies have not necessarily had a history of, like, you know, sequels sort of, especially years later, being the best thing in the world for the first movie.
My name is Anakin. My shitty acting is ruining Saga.
Anthony Bresnikan, who was writing for the Associated Press at that point, wanted to do a piece on the 10th anniversary of Clerks. And so I said, well, fuck it. It's an AP piece. It's a wire piece. It goes out to all the national newspapers. Anybody picks it up. I said, I'll do it here. I'll drop down here that we're going to do Clerks 2 next.
I think a lot of people's first reaction to a sequel to Clerks had to have a certain level of skepticism.
Enlighten us.
And at that point, we were calling it The Passion of the Clerks. There was massive resistance to the title. Everyone thought the title was stupid and jokey title, and they were right. And there were a lot of people who put two and two together and said, well, Jersey Girl flopped, and so he's running back to the familiar territory.
That's just people saying, like, well, if I ever made a movie that became a cult hit and blah, 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 I wouldn't fucking make a sequel to it. And it's like, well, number one, you're not really presented with that choice until you make that first movie.
The funniest thing I read was people going like, oh, he's just doing it for the money. I'm like, motherfucker, if I wanted money, I would have made Green Hornet.
The easy way out would not to be to do it. Because number one, it's like, he already said he wouldn't do it, so he's already got to eat crow about that. And two, it's not the easy way out because it is the movie where, more so than anything that we've ever made, that people would be like, what are you doing? Why fuck with that?
Sure, I am going back to the well. But that's not to say you can't draw fresh water.
Look at the Star Wars sequels.
Star Wars geek.
It's like all these motherfuckers are so goddamn fucking excited. They're pissing their pants and fucking putting on their fucking lightsaber belts and shit like that.
There's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
And then the movie comes out and they're all pissing and moaning about it, about what it is. So it's like, what's the fucking point of reviewing the idea? What's the point of reacting to like, yes, they're gonna make another one when, or fuck them, they're losers because they're making another one. Because in the end, it's like, it's the movie that you have to react to.
Francis Ford Coppola went back to the well, and he produced Godfather 2. He also later on produced Godfather 3, so perhaps a third visit to the well. Maybe not in order.
Which in the end, Godfather 3 was nominated for Best Picture.
Every step of the way, with every movie we've made, I've always followed my very fucking prodigious gut. Like, I just kind of go with the gut, and the gut told me, like, a movie about Dante and Randall is where you need to be right now.
Fucking A.
The original cast is back. Jeff as Randall, Brian as Dante, Jane, Silent Bob, Kevin, and Jay. But those are the only characters, essentially, that come over from the old movies. Jennifer Smith, Kevin's wife, is playing one of the characters.
Everyone that we know would be a part of it in some way. And so I really did beg my way in, and just no dignity whatsoever, just straight out begged.
Another guy, Trevor, who was in Jeff Anderson's movie, and Kevin had seen that and kind of wrote the part with him in mind.
Kevin saw me in Jeff's movie in 2002 and liked my performance, evidently, for some reason.
We originally were like, no stars, we don't want any stars. And there was a certain amount of pressure applied by the studio who's financing it to give them a couple names.
From a commercial standpoint, I think he was just trying to, to show that the movie was not just a small little comedy, but had the ability to break out beyond that.
When you do that, is you do a list of names, just everybody writes down a list of names.
Before he even got to the list, though, he was like, I met with Bryce Dallas Howard. And I was like, right on, what was that like? He's like, she's a huge fan of yours. We were talking about, the movies that we do here, and she brought up Clerks and Chasing Amy, and she likes your movies. I was like, that's flattering. He's like, so you should meet with her. She's who you should talk to about Clerks 2. So I sit down with her and whatnot, and I brought a copy of the Clerks 2 script with me, and I gave it to her, and I was like, right on, man, let me know what you think. And I guess she read it, and I guess it might have been a little too bracing for her.
And she passed on it. So next we went to Ellen Pompeo, who at that point had Grey's Anatomy in the can, and they were waiting for it to come out, so we went out to her.
I'd seen her in some episodes of Law & Order. I'm a huge Law & Order fan. I really liked her, and I liked her look, and she seemed kind of like believable, like, maybe she would fuck Dante.
And she seemed interested, but I think everyone was getting this anticipation that the show was going to take off, and I don't know exactly what happened, but she ended up moving on.
There was a conversation about Liv, and actually Kevin talked to Liv about it, and Liv had just had a baby, and she said, I can't say things like ass to mouth, and she had like a 3-week-old at home.
So then there became a list of people, and there was a list of 5 or 6 people, and one of them, there was Sarah Silverman.
And she was like, if you were offering me the part of Randall, I would do it in a heartbeat, like, because that's the fucking part she's going, but I just don't want to play the girl in the movie now. Like, I'm trying to go in a different direction. And I was like, I got it.
And then we're just like, fucking, and there was a list, and Rosario Dawson was on it, and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, there was Rachel Weisz. That was never happening.
And Rosario Dawson was on the list. And we were just like, dude, Rosario Dawson ain't gonna do this fucking picture. Not in a fucking million years, man.
There's no fucking way she's gonna do it.
Because Rosario does classy pictures. She doesn't do Passion of the Clerks.
My manager and my agent went into the office and read the script. They brought the script actually over to my house because I was doing the play and I had like no hours. So they brought it over, they were like, you have 3 hours. I was like, code, they have 3 hours to read this and we'll be back.
When the script finally got to her, I was just like, oh, fucking, how quickly will she, decide not to do it?
You never know how anyone's going to react, especially when you're a name actress and you get a script and you read it and you think, okay, well, who are the actors I'm going to be acting opposite in this movie? And it's 2 actors that really nobody knows. You may be a little hesitant to do the movies.
I remember when I first started reading it, there was all this, I didn't know which character I was being offered. So I was kind of just like going, okay, I guess a chick. So I'm like reading for the chick. And there's this character, Emma, and in the beginning, and there's all this dialogue about having an enlarged clit. And I was like, whoa, how am I gonna read this? Like, I was just, the automatic thing was like imagining my dad watching this movie and just going, because I know he'd love to watch it, and just going, wow, within the first 5 minutes, I'm talking about having like an enlarged clit. How do I make this read?
We thought she'd get to the porch monkey scene and just be like, you know, shred that fucking thing.
What's the big deal? Since when is it a crime to say porch monkey?
I was reading along and kind of going, this is really good, it's really well written, but when the donkey show came in, I was like, this is my opportunity to see a donkey show. This is a yes. This is not even no-brainer, this is amazing.
She fucking said she wanted to do it, you know, and so, which is great, but like, I thought there wasn't a chance in hell.
I really felt like Rosario was so much better than Bryce. And not like they're not good actresses, but just in terms of the character of Becky, made more sense than Bryce, than Ellen, than Sarah, because she just had this East Coast feel to her. You know, she's a New Yorker, and she just had this East Coast feel to her that I thought would blend really well with Becky. You know, I like doing the rehearsal with the actors at the location as much as possible because A, that's where we're going to spend a majority of the movie. It felt like, man, we can kind of get a run through. Like we can kind of do like a dress rehearsal of the whole thing, so to speak. And run through the scenes and not like stop and be like, do that again. Just kind of run through all the scenes and kind of showing people who were interested, some of the keys, what they were in for.
Even though the location hadn't been built yet, or painted or anything, you know, like it was just kind of like like a skeleton inside, we could still plan out our blocking. And we started with with the scenes that we knew were going to be particularly tricky to pull off. One of the scenes was my entrance.
He's going to come in, Jeff's going to meet him at the door, they're going to head behind the counter.
Ow.
Dude, how old are you?
You know I'm 19, Randall. You wouldn't work for me last week because you said working on my birthday helped me build a character.
Why the fuck are you still getting rides from your mother? And even worse, what the fuck are you kissing her goodbye for? What is she, your fucking prom date?
When you watch the movie, it doesn't play as that complicated, but it actually was like quite a few shots because you got to get coverage on everybody and so forth.
Dude, the Transformers sucked.
No, they didn't. There were more than meets the eye.
Too defensive, bring it down to that filter.
No, they didn't. There were more than meets the eye.
But I have to have it memorized before I begin. Even in like rehearsals, I think when we did the first rehearsal, I was 95% had the entire thing memorized.
That dude can move around and see what he's going to do, you know, with his hands or whatever when he's actually performing the scene.
It's the belly button. Make that night I awoke from my sleep hearing.
Let's do it again.
And showing up on the first day in rehearsal and like Jeff being completely off book actually ended up being like, oh my God, these people are like beyond. I need to like be off booking tomorrow because this is crazy. This is going to be really intense.
Bex, do you ever go ass to mouth?
You never go ass to mouth. It's really smart dialogue, and everyone's very present to all of it. We all know exactly what we're doing, and we're pushing it as far as we could because we can. And I think it's really wonderful to be a part of that because it's a very intelligent process.
But the positive of doing a lot of rehearsal is that it smooths out all those performances so that everything kind of has the same lived-in quality.
What the fuck?
Can I talk to you?
Yeah, we were just,
Your first child. Be a masculine child.
Randall!
What? She was sweating me. It just slipped out. Oh, shit! You swung at me.
You ducked?
Because you swung at me.
Damn it! Okay!
If you ever connect with that.
It's easier for me to kind of do that kind of thing in a room where there are very few people. So if I'm doing it with the actors, we're all kind of figuring it out together. If I wait and do it on the day, with the whole crew there standing behind me, waiting, I feel like, man, they're gonna realize that I suck at this job if they see me trying to figure this shit out. So we're going to church. You know, I'm not one of those shove Jesus down your throat people, but like, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. You know, I'm a fairly spiritual person, even though I make very potty-mouthed little movies. I used to go more frequently, but that Mosier Goes It All is amazing, because Mosier is an avowed agnostic. Would you still consider yourself agnostic, or are you just a flat-out atheist now?
No, I'm an agnostic.
And so I feel like if I drag an agnostic to church with me twice over the course of a production every other year, then I don't know, that's extra good mojo for the flick. get in there, do an hour, say a couple prayers that we have a smooth, clean production, you know, just like, well, see what you can do, Lord. So there it is. God willing, God has blessed our production. Although after this, I'm not so sure. I don't know if I'd call it cold feet, but I was just suddenly, for the first moment, the negativity of the people like on the internet who were like, what a stupid fucking move, blah, 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 kind of got to me. Why are we doing this? Man, how do we fucking top this? And that's where the title of the train wrecks for the video blogs came from, because I was like, fuck it, let's just acknowledge that this is a potential train wreck in the making.
But I am happy to hear that Kevin was struggling with the idea of doing a sequel beforehand, because, you know, I always said that I wasn't thrilled about doing the sequel. But the thing that always got me was Kevin was so damn solid on it. He was like, we're gonna do it, we're gonna make it better, it's gonna be cool, we're gonna do this, 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 and he was so damn confident about it. That's the reason I jumped on board and wanted to do it.
And that lasted, it wasn't even a full week, it was a few days, and it culminated with the night before we started shooting, when I was down in Buena Park in my motel room, and I'd set up my TV and my DVD player, and I actually, for the first time in eons, watched Clerks. And I went back to the place where I made the movie, in terms of like where I was in my head and my heart, and I was just like, no, I'm in the exact right place, like where I need to be in order to make Clerks 2. This is a totally good idea, and this movie honors the first movie, and it doesn't try to be better than it, or worse than it, or even equal to it. It just tries to be its own fucking movie that happens to carry those characters and the scenario over a little bit.
Day one.
Day one.
Do we have a better chance?
Day one.
I mean, I got there, there was sweat running down the steering wheel, and it wasn't from the LA traffic. It was like, I should fucking turn around. How far is Tijuana? I should have never fucking agreed to do this.
We came down last night to stay at the hotel. It's beautiful.
We get the roll out of spots. Me and Kevin are gonna sleep here.
We haven't rolled the frame of film yet, but boy, is it
I have.
feel good. You have.
I don't fucking
None of that will be usable in the finished film.
No, no, no.
Day one, we started with Brian and Rosario in the back office. You know, Jeff didn't work that much. He just kind of came in and out of the room once or twice. So it was kind of like, let's get the big chunky scene out of the way first, the one where it's just all dialogue between two people. And we were shooting that scene, and they were trying to hide the nail polish.
Cleaning products? We have cleaning products? Huh.
Then he comes back in one of the takes, and he goes,
What smells like shoe polish? Ew.
We got to the end of the take, and I was like, dude, you said shoe polish. Got it. Got it. I don't know. Nail polish. Nail polish.
You know what's funny is I was looking right at it too. I was like, what smells like shoe polish? And I'm looking right at the thing. I was having Clerks flashbacks, I guess. Oh, I guess I was freaked out by the whole thing. Say so. I was still freaked out day one on the set.
Even though 13 years, I think, had gone by at that point, the dude was still fucking dialed into shoe polish in the last movie.
I don't know what it is, but like, you know, I'm not much of an actor, but I get nervous on camera. And like that first day, and I always get nervous when I'm working with Kevin for some reason. Here's, you know, fucking Silent Bob, for Christ's sakes. I've known him since 9th grade. What the fuck am I nervous around this guy for? But I get nervous around him. It's weird. But that first day, and it takes me a while to sort of settle down from the camera.
I remember it being a good day. I remember it was a good feeling, like the crew was getting along, cast was getting along. It was kind of cool.
Ready and action.
Fucking post monkey. God! Hold on, man. I'm coming. Baby, can I get a french fry? This is my wife.
My husband.
Yeah, man, I was gonna leave her, but I need her half on the rent, plus she got the health care.
It's just a little part. It's not like, you know, if the script's up that, you know, I had anything to lose. That it'd been like, boy, Wanda Sykes really fucked up that movie.
Did you say cock stain? What the fuck is cock stain?
I don't know, that's some white freaky stuff. White boys get the white women to do everything. You wanna do a cock stain? Well, you losing weight like you're a hostage. You like hell with what you think. Racism don't have no taste.
Yes.
We out of here like last year.
I went into the editing room and I had 2 days worth of footage that I could finally work on. And I was like, you know, I'm just gonna cut one scene and see how I feel. And I cut one simple scene. I was like, you know, I'm gonna cut another one and see how I feel. And I got into it and got into it. And those scenes were the Dante and Becky in the office. And then there was one other scene, I forget what it was, but that was a quick one. And then I heard a knock at the door, and I opened the door, and it was fucking daylight outside. And it was one of the PAs going, they want you on set to block out the first shot. And I was, good God.
When his hair was all fucked up, he had bags under his eyes, and I was like, holy shit, that bastard just realized we shouldn't be doing this either. And he was like, no, dude, I've been up all night editing. Come see what I've done. I went in and I watched the scene. It was the scene with Brian and Rosario in the office.
Well, hello, Miss Scott.
Well, here he is, the escape artist.
So I show them the scene, and it was, I got 3 different reactions out of them. The first one was from Brian, which was really satisfying because he was like, oh my God, I can't believe you made me look good in that scene. He's like, I come off really well, I come off like a pimp. Rosario was just like, man, I've never seen footage cut this early into a movie. Why don't more people do this? I was like, I don't know, but do you like it? She's like, I think it's great.
The energy and the chemistry between Rebecca and Dante is really great because it's based in a friendship that becomes something beautiful and more. And there's all these moments of like us kind of trying to catch each other's eye and not really, and those weird things when a friendship turns into something else.
Jeff though was like, he's like, dude, I'm gonna say this, and you gotta take it for what it is. Take it as truthful because I'm not even really in this scene that much.
And like when I saw it, I was like, wow, this looks good. I like the look of it. That's when I got excited about it.
And from that moment forward, when he watched that scene, like he was all for Clerks 2 in a big bad way. It became a big flag waver and also became my sounding board where I would cut scenes together, immediately pull him in and be like, what do you think, what do you think?
But, you know, that was day 4 on the set. It was fucking touch and go those 3 mornings before that.
Have it.
Oh, shit. So she wants you to break it off with Emma and marry her?
No.
She's gonna tell Emma?
No.
Wait a second, then what's the problem?
There is a lot of movement in Clerks 2. Kevin and I never sat down and said, you know, we're going to put this much movement in this movie. We never set out to move the camera just to move it, you know. I think because of the experience that he and I have now after, you know, not really working together, but working elsewhere with other people for 8 or 9 years, has just built camera movement into how we go about approaching our day-to-day work.